Hello, everyone. Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of words, recorder of videos, and big fan of Larian Studios and Dungeons and Dragons. So I thought that I would record a video of me watching the first world premiere Baldur's Gate 3 gameplay panel, which took place at PAX East this week/weekend. I haven't watched it yet. It actually ran yesterday, so I am going to be watching it this morning. I've got my cup of coffee. Real quick, my history with Baldur's Gate is not as hardcore fan as fans are with Baldur's Gate. The original game came out, I believe, late 90s, and I remember distinctly I got it the same either birthday or Christmas that I received EverQuest. And I played EverQuest for like a solid year. I had just gotten, that was my first tiptoes into Morpegs, and I played them for, you know, years afterwards. So I didn't really play much of the original Baldur's Gate, and I wasn't really into D&D at that point until Neverwinter Nights came out, which was like 2 years later, and then I got into it. But I never got into Baldur's Gate 2 at all. And then years later, about, I'm going to say 2013, 2014, whenever I was really buckling down and getting through my backlog of games, I went back and played Baldur's Gate 2 whenever they were re-released. This was before Beamdog released the enhanced edition, but you could still get Baldur's Gate 2 on GOG, and I had installed like a widescreen mod and some kind of like UI mods to basically make it look decent. And I enjoyed the hell out of that game. I played it from start to finish. It was about 60 hours, and I very much enjoyed Baldur's Gate 2, despite not being a big fan of second edition compared to, obviously, we're playing 5th edition right now, and I enjoyed 3rd and 3.5 with Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2, but I could never really get into. I played a little bit of second edition tabletop in high school, a little bit, but compared to the later editions, excuse me, I'm literally just woken up. Maybe not quite as big into it, but the gameplay is still fantastic. The writing is great. You know, it captures that tactical RPG gameplay that I love so much. And that era was insane because we had the Baldur's Gate games, you had Planescape Torment, you had the Fallout games, Arcanum. It was a really, really good time. The late 90s, early 2000s was an amazing time for computer tactical RPGs. And most of those games I just named have, of course, gotten, you know, remakes and sequels and all these things. And Baldur's Gate never did, despite its insane popularity with folks. Baldur's Gate 2 still considered one of the best RPGs of all time. Enter Larian Studios. Larian Studios has become one of my favorite developers in the last several years. Between the Divine Divinity games, there was a Divinity game I played. There was like an action King of Amalur type game where you could transform into a dragon. I played the hell out of that game. And then, of course, the Divinity Original Sin series, which are literally 1 and 2 are probably two of my favorite of that genre, that tactical RPG of the last several years. Huge, huge fan. And their multiplayer and co-op. They managed to make not only an amazing version of that genre, but they made it where you could play co-op, and I can enjoy it with my wife playing on the couch on a console. That's mind-blowing for someone that played these games, 20 years ago, those kind of games. So, huge fan of Larian Studios. So when they announced Baldur's Gate, that they were going to do a Baldur's Gate 3, I was ecstatic. Baldur's Gate 3, I put as my number one most anticipated game of this year, although I'm not quite sure it's coming out this year, but I am a huge fan. So it's not so much that I'm a big fan of the Baldur's Gate series itself, but I am a big fan of what Larian Studios can do with the genre. And of course, obviously with the channel and everything, I am a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons. So that's my little Venn diagram overlapping. And I'm very excited about doing this, so we're going to watch it together, and I can't wait to hopefully gush about what Baldur's Gate 3 looks like. So let's fire this up.
Our program begins now.
The volume is okay where you can hear me and hear Jesse Cox.
Excited for this.
Yeah.
I was going to try and get you hyped, but you're doing it yourself. We can do this, though. Hi, I'm Jesse Cox. I'm a massive Larian fan. I am up here going to host this
what t-shirt he's wearing.
panel that we have in store for you today. I'm really excited. This is the gameplay reveal.
I met Sven before. He's usually at PAX's. Really cool guy, very passionate, very energetic. It's just infectious. Like you talk to him, he just immediately gets excited about the games that he's talking about. I love that in a developer.
Gameplay and about 8.
Oh, it's a Star Wars shirt.
And
could wear a Baldur's Gate shirt. Come on.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
We know what you love.
Right, how much of this is going to be you guys talking, and how much is going to be
numbers? Lots of those.
Showing the game.
Anyway, all right.
Because as far as I know, we've only seen that one teaser of the Illithid, and it was like a cinematic.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm supposed to raise my hand.
And how many of you were like, Baldur's Gate? I love that.
Oh.
And
Maybe on the ladder.
I assume 2 hands. How many of you are fans of both?
Oh, Divinity? Okay, and Baldur's Gate.
Do the wave. I'm feeling really good about
I would
that.
say I'm a fan of both, but I'm definitely a bigger fan of Divinity.
We are going to look. I could talk all day. I could.
I don't have the
But no one
huge,
cares
like I
what
said, the huge nostalgia for the
Because
series.
all we're
I'm still not a fan of the first game because I think low-level
This man
2nd edition D&D is blah.
is going to play for you.
But BG2, the secret there is you start at like 8th level, and that's pretty awesome.
Because this is going to be the coolest thing you will ever see. And I'm going to just hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Jesse.
Hold on, wait a minute.
I thought so.
We can get louder than that. This is going to be crazy. Thank you, front row. Thank you. We had to turn people away. There are people still outside. You need even louder to make them sadder.
Wow.
Louder. Get excited.
I watched the Gearbox stream yesterday, and literally half the chat was just like, where's Baldur's Gate 3? And they had to go to PAX 2, which is a good sign. I think it's really popular. Divinity was crazy popular. The second game
Thank you.
was huge, like best-selling, all these people playing on Steam.
So,
I was upset that Pillars 2 didn't get that recognition, because I'm actually playing that right now.
Pre-alpha footage.
But yeah, Larian's riding high.
Just play. I don't know what's going to happen.
I love this dude.
Furthermore, to make it even more exciting, the save game system is broken, so that means that if I die, if it's a party wipe, I'll just have to restart, so we'll try not to have that happen.
Baldur's Gate roguelike.
If you see a bug, and inevitably you will see something, it's something that we see too, we'll fix it.
Oh.
We'll have a whole bunch of time before it's going to be ready. I
guess you need to say that, but yeah.
Announced that it's going to early access. We actually wanted to announce it today, but people were very excited about announcing it for us, so...
Oh,
it'll
good
be in
lead.
early access in a couple of months. We don't know exactly when it's ready for early access. And with that said, we're just going to start
Early access in a couple months. Okay, we might see a release this year. I have mixed feelings about putting an RPG in early access, although they have done it with both Divinities, and I believe it did them very well. And what they did, I'm going to pause it real quick so I can talk. They would only release like the first slice of the game, so maybe the first like 25 or 30%, and that was the only part you could play in early access. And then they would extrapolate all of the commentary and the balance notes and any problems they had with, overarching like systems. They could take that and apply it to other parts of the RPG, but not let people just run through the entire RPG in early access, which I think is probably a good method. But that being said, I don't know. Previously, I don't believe I have actually played them on early access because I always want to save it until it's ready to go, which is tough because obviously I'm very excited. Okay. I'm also excited about having Illithids as villains. I don't think we've had a full 5e campaign that really utilized Illithids. Probably Out of the Abyss was the closest. They were just a side thing. It's a new cinematic. Ah, is that a Gitzerai? Yellow space elves? Or dimension elves? It's like aliens where you're wrapped up in the cocoon. Like Animorph villains, the little Yerk slugs that crawl into your brain. In the ear? Where do they go? Oh, not the eye. That's pretty gross. Oh, I don't want to see this in first person. No. Oh, it's got teeth.
So we have a problem.
It is so good to meet you.
Uh-oh.
Calm yourself. There is something I want to give
Did we lose the cinematic? Or was that the transition? So do you play as somebody with a freaking illithid tadpole inside them?
Sorry, it's a different keyboard than I'm used to. There you go. I'm Sven.
Great name.
So, we're in character creation. I can select my background.
Nice.
So these are
This
all
looks exactly like Divinity.
that you know, if you play Dungeons and Dragons. I can change my body type. I can change my race, so I can play as a tiefling. I can play as a drow. I can play as a human. I can play as a Githyanki. I can play as a dwarf.
Yankee.
I can play as an elf. I can play as a half elf. I can play as a half drow.
Wow.
I can play as a halfling. And there's more, but we're only showing a few. These are the races.
A few? Those are most of the races, I
and
think.
More will be added afterwards, and so depending on which race I pick, I get different features. I can also select which class I'm going to play. We
I don't have Dragonborn or Elemental dudes or Aarakocra or any of the fancier ones, but
so I can play as a wizard.
do you start as like a freaking thrall of the illithids? That's kind of a cool start.
And warlock, and then I can pick the ability points that go with that.
I just love their UI. Look at how nice this looks. It's simple but
Today we're going
attractive.
to play origin story. So we have different origin stories. There's going to be 5 that are going to be in early access. There will be more after. So this is Lysel. She's the girl.
Okay, 5. Hang on, I need to pause it and turn it up. I actually want to hear Swen talking. It sounded like he said there were 5 companions in early access and adding more. There were only like 6 in Divinity Original Sin 2, I believe. Fane, Ethan, Sybil, Lose, Red Prince, and the dwarf. Yeah, I think there were 6. You could still create your own, or you could play as a companion, which if that's the same rule here, that's pretty cool. Yankee, transform to the very monster she's sworn to destroy. Yeah, so it looks like maybe you all start with like illithids inside you. Damn.
Githyanki. Gale is a wizard. He has a very big problem, and that's pretty much that he's going to explode. Shadowheart, she's a dark cleric, so she's got quite a story.
Okay, so do they start as their own classes? I guess they'd have to. Because in Divinity, you could make your own people whatever they want, but it was a skill-based game. This one, I guess they still have to do the D&D classes, so...
Will is a monster hunter who made a pact with the devil. He regrets it. And
He regrets
today we're going to play as Astarion, who is a vampire spawn. He's a noble. So vampire spawn is not really a vampire. He has a vampire to which he is a slave.
Wow.
He's a high elf.
God, all these characters are cool.
A cantrip for him. So we're going to pick Mage Hand because we're going to do cool things with it. And all the rest is already preset for him, so we just have to click the Venture Forth button and we can...
This looks real good. What a cool opening. Just a fucking illithid thrall now. Oh, because they got their little space whale ship. Ah, how cool is that? Oh, fuck. Scramble the fighters. Just broad daylight invasion. What's all the... Oh, shit. He was 2 days away from retirement. Jeez. Jeez. Oh no. Tentacles disintegrate you untouched? Oh man, they capture you. The harvesting. Man, so they're treating the illithids as like an alien invasion. I guess they kind of would be. It's so cool looking. Oh shit! Dragon's coming in. What is going on? It's the Gith. It's the Gith. God damn. Look at that. That's awesome. Ripping off tentacles. Holy crap, this is an amazing cinematic. Ooh. Teleports. These dudes are following. They're just portal hopping. Alright, now I need to go do some lore on, like, the Gith and the Illithids, because this is fucking cool. This is so cool. Oh, this is how you get free, because the ship's gonna crash. Hold on to your butts. Those are some like Game of Thrones ass looking dragons too. God, that was fucking cool. Dragons versus an Illithid ship. Holy shit. Yeah. Applause for that. Big grin on my face the whole time.
Skip the tutorial because it's not ready yet. And so I'll tell you what happens in the tutorial, or at least in a nutshell. We're going to capture that Nautiloid. We're going to do that together with the Githyanki warrior that you saw captured in the intro. And we're going to teleport it to a place called Faerun, more specifically to the Sword Coast, more specifically 200 miles to the east of Baldur's Gate. That was, by the way, the city that you saw destroyed is not Baldur's Gate, it was Yartar. Goodbye, Yartar.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Daylight. It can't be.
Then you're freed from the ship going down. That's fucking
So
cool.
what I forgot to mention is that my vampire spawn normally can't walk in the sunlight. He can't go over running water, and he needs an invitation if he wants to enter somewhere. But apparently he can walk in the sunlight, so that's kind of handy for us. So he's going to try to figure out what's going on. So,
Wow, he has vampire
I can
rules.
control the camera and put it in third person, so then it's running behind me. Or I can just go back top down and then basically play it in a
Nice.
traditional manner. So I'm gonna like
Giant tentacle above him.
and let's have a look at what we can find.
That's a really cool opening.
Have a look over there.
Second Divinity game had a good kind of tutorial opening sequence too, with being on a ship and having the ship crash. They like having things crash and then be a survivor.
And it reaches all the way to Baldur's Gate, but we have no boat, so we're gonna have to go in a different direction. Obviously, you can see that it's been a lot.
So what class was this guy?
Mangled Fisher.
Oh, it said it was a vampire spawn. That's not a class, is it?
The love letter is none of my business.
Was the sky always this blue? It's magnificent.
Starden doesn't really care about the fact that everybody's dead. Apple. She is
Yeah,
standing at
don't
that
take
door,
the
so
apple
let's
off the
go
dead
out
body. Come on
and
now.
Introduce ourselves.
Ooh, intellect of ours?
What? Oh, it's you. I saw you on the ship. You survived then?
Wow.
Suddenly I saw what she saw, felt what she felt. Anger, confusion, resolve.
Ah! You've got the same thing I do. In your head.
Illithided.
I felt it.
Okay, so I have a whole bunch of dialogue options.
This is a lot more
So
cinematic
what
and like
you
Mass
have to do
Effect-y
is because
than
of the tadpole, I was already
Video Original Sin
introduced
2 never
that
came
it's
down to
called
like this
Melding.
level, I don't think.
So we both have a tadpole in our head.
We're all just
and,
up above, you know, with
we
the
can
tactical
telepathy
isometric view.
Connect to each other. but I'm also very hungry. So I'm playing this from the point of view of Astarion, vampire spawn. So you will see that all of my choices will be tailored to being Astarion, essentially. So I'm going to stare at her and realize that I'm very hungry.
Oh my gosh.
What's the matter with you? Has that tadpole scrambled your brain already?
So I can basically say, okay, well, just feed, or I can swallow my urge and feign ignorance, which is what I'm going to do because I need a companion.
Come on. The chase through hell? The creature
You can lunge at her and attack her.
to us? The tadpole?
That's also similar to Divinity
That
Original Sin
thing
2, as you
is
meet
going
all the
to
companions
consume
pretty
us from
early
the
on.
inside and turn us into mind flayers. You and I need a healer. Finding one
Your
won't
mouse,
be
Swen.
easy in this wilderness. We'll need supplies. I'm hoping something of use might be behind these doors.
The armor looks
But
very
I've
D&D-ish.
barely made a
Awesome.
dent in them so far.
This is a high production, too.
Okay, so I can offer to help her, but I'm a rogue also, so I can tell her.
Oh, he's a rogue,
strength,
okay.
Then that I'll pick the lock.
By all means. I'm going to see what's at the top of this cliff.
Was she the dark cleric or the
Hopefully
wizard?
There's no more of these creatures along the way.
I will. Well,
Hire the
actually,
slaughtered
I'll
corpses.
Suggest that we join forces and say that that gives us better also survival.
Or just company for our final moments.
Boy,
But you're right.
this looks
I'd
really
rather
freaking
head
nice. This
into
looks a lot
the
nicer than
Ruffles and
Divinity.
Select.
The way the dialogue works and the zoom in.
You can call me Shadowheart.
I can tell her that I'm a star in a
Reformed vampire spawn.
Sunlight, or I can choose not to tell her, which is a good idea. And I can also question her what she knows about the things in each of our heads.
Very little.
I think we need the
Supposedly, those
asterisks
monsters
around
breed
everything,
by
though.
planting their tadpoles in people's heads. Over time, the infected victim turns into a mind flayer. I don't remember how long it takes, but we should hurry.
As long as the DM needs it to
I'll
take.
introduce myself, Astarion,
Lead the way, Astarion.
and I've made my first companion. I can try to lockpick that door, but I don't have a lockpick, so that's not gonna. So, whoops, and I got myself into the door. All right, let's see if this fine gentleman has something of use, but he doesn't. So let's continue. See where I'm moved up.
More of those wretched things.
Yep. So that's usually an introduction to combat when you see something like that. Let's try and see what that is. Where are they?
Alright,
Yeah,
first thing is against intellect devourers. That's pretty cool. No like goblins or rats.
So we base ourselves on that.
Alright, how's combat look?
I need to be very careful for these intellect devourers because if they get too close to me, it will be very painful. This can actually end up in a party wipe.
I was gonna say, can't they just insta kill you if they like
I'm going to
eat your brain?
high ground. In Dungeons and Dragons, seeking advantage allows you to roll twice, which is a good idea because there's a lot of dice rolling going on behind the scenes,
Okay.
as you'll soon see. We translate the dice rolls into percentages so that you don't have to do all the mathematics yourself.
Okay, so we still have
90%
percentages.
chance to hit, so that's a pretty good one. Also,
You missed with a 90%.
I'll manage, don't worry about it. That's a 45%, that's not so good. But let's try. I'm casting Sacred Fire, let's see what that does. The puny 2.
And he hit with the 45.
So if you're curious to know how
Magic look good.
are happening, they're happening behind the scenes here. You can just hover over it and then you can learn all of the math behind. The numbers that you see, which is why Jesse said lots of numbers. We're going to be very brave and we're just going to go up there. And then I'm going to see how far I can get the star because I don't want him to die right away. All right, Shadowheart.
That's very cool. You can use a 3D battlefield. That was definitely part of Divinity also. The old games, it was all just flat.
Bonus actions. These are my actions. These are my bonus actions. You just see, yeah, it says AP. It's a little bit misleading, but it's actually just the actions that
Okay.
we have.
Are there spell slots?
You can have 2 of them. So I'm going to end my turn, and now it's the enemy's turn. See what they do.
You just have the
They
one
can jump. That's
action you can do, basically, which is D&D. I really, really love Divinity's combat system, but I know people are going to want more.
So what I'm going to do with Shadowheart is I'm going to try something that's a little bit
You
risky,
like?
but sometimes works. I'm going to use Shove, and I'm going to try to... Oh, it won't work. Yeah, there you go. So that guy's a little bit further from me.
Nice.
And then she can still hammer at that guy. It's really not hitting very well.
Okay, so you can use like action.
That guy. So, yeah, we're doing
Alright, quit spreading out your attacks. Need to focus fire. My glitch starts with a shield. Ooh. Shit, how much life does that guy have? I almost killed him. Jesus,
so
Divinity.
combat is fairly high stakes, as you can see. So they have a reaction, so that basically means if she walks away from here, they're gonna hit her, which is not good. So what I'm gonna do, and he can't walk. Yeah.
Already wiping the first
so I have a
combat.
jump. I didn't want to use it yet, but first I'm going to. Oh man, that's jump as a bonus action in VG3. So that means that I can't use another bonus action, but it acts as a disengage also, and it's enhanced by my tadpole that I have inside of me. I do have one action that I can still do, so I'm just going to try it out. This is my mage hand. My mage hand is bad at many things, but it's very good at throwing stuff.
That's cool.
So I'm going to just slap it. There you go.
Use mage hand to shove him? Wow. I don't know if I would allow that as a
I wanted
DM.
to show this to you today, but you have no idea how nervous I was about doing it because I was going to get in this situation. So I obviously should have approached them in a completely different manner. We'll see in the next combat how you can actually be much more strategic. Famous last words, I guess, but we'll see. All right. She is hurting, so she's going to drink my first healing potion. I don't have a lot of them. Then she's just going to...
Oh, attack the other one, dude. The other one's got 2 hit points. Oh my gosh.
Just smack it like this.
I'm backseat driving here, but holy crap. Dude, the other one. Oh my gosh.
All right. Well,
See, he wants to wipe here.
Even further. No. All right. Here it comes. That's good. Oh, no. He's getting back up.
Oof.
Very high stakes. He's hiding for the shots.
Where they all scattered like roaches.
Okay. Mage
Yeah.
hand, where are you? Do your thing.
Oh, and it stays on there. That's so cool. I got mage hand.
80%. So
Just slap him. He's got 2
you
hit
can
points.
also throw bodies that you find in the world, but it's not working, so that's why I'm using the shove actually. It's working, but it doesn't look as good. Oh, why did I go to sneak? I misclicked. Really, did I put my hand into sneak? That's really clever. Okay, so... Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be so nervous to play a game in front of so many people.
Alright, 90% shot.
Live.
Oh yeah, actually I have a pin down attack, which is a action that you get with your weapon. So each weapon that you get gives you an extra type of action. Yes, I know that you're sneaking.
Oh,
Alright.
brutal.
You got this. You got this.
Hold on, I have a plan. I got a bottle with grease, so I'm just gonna throw... Can you stop hand? And normally he's not supposed to be able to hit like this. Actually, can't you do anything useful? If they want to attack you, maybe... Ooh. Oh, they killed. No, they didn't kill hand. Okay, alright, so... Oh, they did kill hand. Yeah, hand is not supposed to die, but...
Hand is not supposed to die.
it's going to
Your
swim
team
away.
is so fucked, man.
Okay, so I wanted to throw...
It's
so I
not
throw
playing this
everything
super
I can
efficiently,
throw.
but as I mentioned,
In a presentation I did previously, I threw my boots.
Probably
so
pretty hard to do this.
maybe
He's gonna
I'll
throw his
my
boots.
Maybe I'll actually just kill him. Oh, that's it.
What?
Good work.
That's the goofy divinity shit I want to see. I throw my boots.
That's not that bad, actually. So, where is she? Hey, oops. Doesn't want to close anymore. You want to keep on throwing? No, it's enter, yeah.
Very first look at combat, and it looks really good. So all the weapons have abilities.
That's,
Oh,
so
shit.
She's down, she's not dead yet. So that's the good news.
She's rolling death saves.
So basically how this works is this is death saving throws. So
Yeah.
each turn there's going to be a roll behind the scenes, and if it's a good roll,
Straight 50%,
there's
I
gonna
think.
be a little blue spot like this, and if you have 3 of them, she gets stabilized, which is cool.
Maybe a little more than
And
50, because I think
if we
10 to
get
20,
red
and then 1
ones,
to 9.
If it's a bad roll, then she dies, and they are going to keep on hitting at her because if she goes to the negative of her maximum HP, she dies too. So we're going to try to avoid that from happening, but I'm really not. Okay, so I shouldn't have thrown the boost, by the way. That was a really stupid move. This looks like a really good hit. Good, excellent. And we have one guy left. Thank you.
Clap. We're all in this together. Oh no, he's coming for you.
Hi. Okay, well, let's hope that this one's gonna go right.
Critical miss.
Oh.
Jesus. Look, it's his first time being in daylight.
Man.
Oh no.
Bravo.
Oh no. He wiped.
Oh man. Okay, well, I did tell you that. Oh, stand up, stand up. No, stand up. Hold on, does this work? I was too late. All right, so I do have the save game problem is real, so it is genuine. So I need to restart. So I'm just gonna do a quick restart.
Oh no.
Do it as fast, and then we'll do Q&A for 5 minutes.
Oh, poor Sweat. I don't think they were supposed to die there.
You got it out of the way early.
Yeah,
It's too bad they didn't have a
half-hour extra, Jesse.
Yeah,
a save you could just load like after that combat.
I'll just sneak past the fight and we'll go to the next one.
That's
Otherwise,
nerve-wracking.
We might be in trouble.
He could have targeted that.
For you,
They were a little bit low on health, but God, he was missing those 80 and 90% shots. That's some XCOM bullshit. Who knew this game would take out?
Take my trusty mage
For
and
XCOM.
venture forth. Go forward into the game.
Skip, skip, skip.
And I will recruit Shadowheart again, so I'll do that in the shortest possible manner.
That's true. They didn't actually make it that far. Mainly
And
just the
I suggest
combat.
you try to avoid the...
Look at these loading screens. I want all these wallpapers on my desktop.
Okay.
It's so nice.
If you can't, well, we'll have
So
to-
I wonder how the resources work. Does it still use spell slots? Because Divinity was purely cooldown based, which I loved.
I
It got
think
a
it's, like,
it got away
trust
from
me, the
doing
last 3 weeks,
spell
I've done
slots,
this like 30, 40 times.
and it just had, you know,
In general,
your
do not die on it.
memory stat was tied to
Always tight, but
It's
how many skills you could learn.
daylight.
meanwhile we can also look at a few other features of the game. I'm gonna make him walk over there.
What the hell's is going on?
Eyes within.
A star in the run.
Looks like you've got
run, a star
a
in
huge quick bar. Although I wonder how much of this UI
run
is
over here, thank you. So
subject to
meantime,
change.
We can have a look at the back
yeah.
side of the UI. So this is where you see all my equipment.
Starting to talk about UI.
Here you see all of my abilities, and so when you click on
Was
them,
the sky
you see
always this
your skills, resistances, and this is my spell book where the spells that I know are.
Right, so he doesn't have any. He just has a cantrip, so that doesn't have spell slots, so I can't quite tell. I want to look at her character sheet.
What? Oh, it's you.
You skip past this.
I saw you on the ship. You survived then.
Suddenly I saw what she saw, felt what she felt. Anger, confusion, resolve.
Ah! You. You've got the same thing I do. In your head. I felt it.
Okay, so I'm just going to be very nice and, well, actually, well, no, I'm just going to recruit her right
Come
away.
on. The chase through hell. The creatures. What they did to us. The tadpole. That thing is going to consume us from the inside and turn us into mind flayers. You and I need a healer. Finding one won't be easy in this wilderness. We'll need supplies. I
just realized that they show that Githyanki
these doors,
woman,
but I've barely made a dent
and
in
then
it so far.
from your point of view, you see her, and then the thing happens to you. But then it looked like you could also play as her.
Maybe
How would
there's
that work?
another
Because
way.
it
Up the cliff.
assume you're the character from the POV in that opening cinematic.
Hopefully there's no more of these things. Or just company for our final moments.
Well, that was true.
But you're right. Whatever lies ahead will be a little less daunting with support. You can call me Shadowheart.
Yeah, I'm a star.
Lead the way, Astarion.
Yep, almost Darian.
Do you want to take an audience vote on if we do this fight again?
This one's like, goddamn no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So now I'm gonna play it like a pro. Do it really well, and I'll show.
All right, use tactics this
First of
time.
all,
Can you go into sneak mode? There you go.
I am gonna dip my
Get into position.
bow into the fire. There we go. Then I'm gonna press this button,
Fire bow.
which allows me to enter turn-based mode outside of combat.
There you go.
And so in that way you can sneak up on people and you can do all kinds of things that they
Okay.
don't expect you to do. So, and then
I think you could do that in Divinity, but I don't recall.
6 seconds. Oh yeah, see these are, oh man. I wonder if I can make this shot. It's too far, right? He hasn't seen me. Cannot reach me. It's the end
Your
of
other
the
person
turn.
back there.
So they get to patrol for 6 seconds, but they're not doing anything. So that's good. You see that over there? That's explosive. So I'm
That's a
gonna
red
try to
barrel?
Get there.
Elephant version of a red barrel.
And shoot
Right
it.
next to you.
96%.
There you go.
Alright.
Might need to fine-tune this opening battle, Larry, and I appreciate that Divinity is a challenging game and all the combats mean something.
Okay.
So it's more quality over quantity in terms of the
I
fights.
feel much more relaxed about
But this is the first battle.
I'm gonna pin him down. So you can't get too close. There you go. This is how it's supposed to be. And then I did actually have a very strong attack, but I never got to use it.
Okay, it does say 1+ spell slot.
But I'm gonna use it now. Where's the other guy? Oh, he's still there. No, I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna do this
It's
one.
on that one. Use a cantrip.
Yeah, very successful also. But just put her in front of it. Put on my shield.
So she could, I guess Shield of Faith is bonus action. Okay.
That's good. The other guy is very enthusiastically coming.
It's pretty
towards
easy to
us.
see, and then they can move according to their, which the movement is very Divinity, where you just move.
Kill them in one shot.
Probably tied to your.
There you go.
Whoa.
Damage. And then we're gonna shoot.
Tied to dexterity or something. Jeez! Completely destroyed that fight. That's hilarious. Tactics, everybody. Tactics. They work.
That was exciting.
Someone's like, alright, enough fooling around.
Got a silver locket, a dagger. I don't need a dagger. I got one already. But the rapier.
All weapons just give you a skill.
So let's put that one on.
Oh, look at how good this screen looks, y'all.
There we go. And
I love me some paper doll. Let me dress up my peeps.
See what the world has to offer.
Just want to play with my action figures.
Get out of non-spoiled also. Okay. So, like in all of our games, you can move things in the
Yep.
environment, but we've added a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. So you can, for instance, make a stair. Why would you make a stair? Well, because you want to walk on it, of course. So you do that. Oh shit!
Just stabs her.
It's fine. You're doing great. It's fine.
Alright, well.
I mean, it makes for a really funny live show, but good lord. Look at the blood! You need a healer. Almost dead.
Okay, so here's another example of why you would want to do turn-based mode. Say that you want to kill this boar or talk to it or whatever. You can now just press the button and then you.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, you need a pet pal.
Plan your move, close to it, and then it has 6 seconds. So if I press my spacebar now, it will move for 6 seconds, and then it's my turn. We'll use this to surprise people and sneak up on them, and hopefully do it really well. I'm just gonna try to jump over. Although I think actually, well, no, I'll just do it. You think you can make
But
me
your
jump
cleric's
over?
almost dead, Swen.
She can. She can.
Okay, so they give you just an ability to jump right off the bat, because in Divinity you had to have like special skills like teleport or wings. You could grow wings, but obviously D&D that would be way higher level stuff.
So my nature skill was used to discover something, and so if it would have failed, I wouldn't have found it, of course. So I found a little cache. The cache belongs to the Harpers, so it gives me a little secret. But it's especially this thing that I need. This is a potion of speed. It will double my movement points, and it's going to also allow me to get 2 actions, which is really good. We're going to try a very complicated stunt.
The game looks really good.
Succeed or fail. see what I did there, but it's probably
So you don't
okay.
heal
First, we're gonna go to camp.
after combat. Oh. Into a cinematic.
This seems as good a place as any to make camp. And rest. Huh. Might as well adapt to the Daywalker's ways.
Did I say that out loud?
So your camp is a place that's gonna
Fellow
expand over
humans.
time.
That's a really neat backstory for a character, though. You're a fucking vampire spawn.
Companions will obviously be here also.
Or a
So
thrall,
there's a
what do
lot
they
of
call it?
relationship building happening in your camp.
I'm not sure this is a good idea.
I can tell her not to question me, or. But I'm going to try to befriend her, so I'm going to ask her what she means.
There are lit fuses in our heads. Sooner or later, they're going to blow. Each hour that passes, the thing inside us grows. We need to find a healer. Let's wake up at first light.
Okay, so I'm going to agree with her, because finding help is indeed our very first concern.
Maybe we'll get lucky. We're overdue some good fortune. Rest well. We'll need our strength.
Rest.
So does he not normally have to
I tried
rest?
to rest, but my mind wouldn't settle.
Rest in
Just
full
yesterday,
armor.
I'd been seducing a young noble, luring him to my master's lair. Since then, I've been kidnapped by mind flayers, chased through hell by dragons,
Move the
and
mouse.
fallen from the sky. And I felt the sun on my skin. I should have burst into flames.
So I can ask myself questions, a little bit of a moment of introspection.
Oh, nice. This is probably good then if you play as one of the party members, which I guess he is.
Furious, I could be a vampire spawn.
It lets you get more of, because that was a problem in Divinity Original Sin 2, is you picked one of the characters to be, then obviously you wouldn't hear them as much because that was just your voice selecting things.
Until I knew more about the tadpole, I wasn't sure how much danger I was in. I had to understand it, master it. I needed to find someone who knew more about this thing.
So I'm going to try to get some sleep, and I'm going to imagine dragging my old master into the sunlight.
Mm.
And that's a persuasion against myself, so I need to roll, I need to do an intelligence check, basically.
Hey, it's a little d20.
Right on target. So the way that works is actually there's ability modifiers on it, but we just show you the actual DC that comes out.
Thankfully, imagining something isn't a very hard skill check.
He started off with a smile, meditating on the flames that engulfed his cruel face.
Does it actually give you something?
Okay, let's continue our little adventure. So all of the dialogues in the game, like literally all of them, have been performance captured, voice recorded, given cinematic treatment. There hasn't been any compromise because of all the cinematics that we're doing in there, so there's plenty of permutations. And you need to realize that I'm now playing with Astarion, so if we wouldn't be playing with Astarion, we would have different things happening to us. And you'll see that we've gone very far in this.
There may be even
Starring is like the furthest developed along, that's why he's playing him.
Goblins over there. Worth checking for supplies, maybe.
Alright, let's have a look what the goblins have. This is a shitty bow. Shitty sword. We might need those.
I died with a potion of healing.
No, everything is useless here.
Man, how can you not loot something and just take everything? Take all, take all.
Alive? That's unexpected. Last I saw you, you were lying in a crucible's worth of blood. An intellect devourer nibbling at your ear. Glad to see my eyes deceive me. I'm Gale. Well met.
So my vampire option is that I send something off. I was certain he would taste like bile. I can obviously draw my weapon because I don't trust the guy. Well, I'm going to take the vampire one.
Speechless? Might be the shock. We went through a traumatizing experience.
You're the wizard, I see.
Instructive one.
You teleported in.
He asked if by trauma he referred to the thing they put in my eye.
Yes. The ocular penetration by an illithid tadpole, which will end with our souls being snuffed like strands of weave caught in dead magic. Not to mention, you're staring at me like a Rashimi at a blackboard. You're no wizard, are you?
I confirmed I was not a wizard.
but but I will tell him that I don't take kindly to insults.
Thin-skinned and a dodger of questions. Usually means the answer's no.
God, that armor looks really
That'll
good.
have to wait. Primary need now is a healer. I take it you recall the insertion of the parasite?
Not only did I recall it, I said I was already enjoying its effects, referring to the fact that I can walk in the sunlight.
Interesting. Are you aware that after a period of excruciating gestation, it'll turn us into mind flayers? A process known as ceremorphosis? It is to be avoided. I assume you're no accomplished healer either. Powerful cleric, maybe?
Okay,
So I wonder
is it a
if
conversation or an interrogation.
Just trying to figure out
that's an
where we
overarching
stand.
plot for the whole game, or if that's just like the Act 1 plot is like you having to get this thing out.
You and I are in a whole lot of trouble. We need help.
And then you end up learning like, oh man, we actually need to take out the Mind Flayer threat
How about
completely.
we embark on the quest for a healer together?
Yes, I need a wizard. A wizard is going to be very
Most
good.
excellent. Then, without further ado, let's be off.
All right, that's a good way of getting a party together. Like, hey, we're all in the same situation.
A woman with shadows for eyes, deep as the dark lake. Pleasure, madam.
Is it indeed? We'll see.
All right. We're gonna get
Bit of a charmer.
along.
Get his stats.
Let's get over there.
You get a wizard and cleric as your first
Just going to do a few things for
people. I love the way the map looks. Get little annotations on there.
So I'm going to separate him from my party because I know.
There you go,
what
that's divinity-like.
show you something. And
Party.
I'm going to go with them. Well, actually, I'm first going to position him because these guys, this can turn out badly as a combat.
Gimblebach.
So I'm going to go over here.
You already know where all the enemies are.
Further shift. Then I'm going to jump here. Then I'm going to sneak. And so the way sneaking works in Baldur's Gate 3 is that if you see a shadow, it's going to lightly obscure you. All right?
Oh.
Into the sunlight, you are going to be in
Oh, wow, that's
a
cool.
clear area. So
Shadows actually are built into the game mechanics.
You are called on sight. If you
Not
go
just
into
nice
a,
looking.
Obscured area, then you have to roll stealth d20, and yeah, if you get caught, you get caught. But you might actually succeed. If you're heavily obscured, as you will soon see, you can actually just walk right past them.
That's really cool.
It's kind of cool because every single shadow suddenly has use.
Yeah.
But it also means that you can manipulate shadows because you can put light or you can remove light. Anyway, he's here standing on his.
Oh, this is exactly what I wanted, which is just fucking Divinity Original Sin 2, but with
Just gonna leave him here.
D&D stuff.
And then I'll go over here, and I'll well, yeah, why not? I'll demonstrate a small thing that I just discovered this morning. So normally what I do here is, well, first of all, I show that you still have all kinds of environmental interactions that you can use.
Look at that, how cool it looks when he's, like, winding up. He's got a baseball of fire.
With fire.
Smoke appears. Oh, that's awesome.
There's also other cool things that you do. So normally I just show this and I say, okay, well, this is where we are. We start from here. Basically, I do it to show that you can navigate over a very high and vertical world. But I figured that if I cast Featherfall, then I make a jump. Boom. Okay. So she still has Featherfall. I know. If she would have jumped without Featherfall, maybe we can do that too. She will die. Anyway, now he has to walk back. But
Featherfall only goes down.
let me just do that. Featherfall is a very useful spell. The game has an enormous amount of verticality. We'll never get to the places where the verticality is high today, because yeah, we just don't have enough time, and we introduce it gradually to players. But you will be surprised by how much stuff you can do. You can walk on roofs. You can jump all the way down into very, very, very deep holes.
Cool.
Just don't forget the Featherfall. The problem with Featherfall is it takes up this, if you use it. Well, never mind. I'm not going to say that. All right, let's do the thing I was supposed to do.
Still not quite seeing how...
Okay.
Like, I saw that there were spell slots in there. I just don't see it reflected on the UI.
Small problem with the interface here, so you're not always seeing if they're grouped. But they
It's like you can just kind of
you're not
put your
grouped.
spells wherever you want.
Be grouped. You're grouped. Okay. So let's go meet these fine gentlemen and say hello to them.
You're both twice as tall as me, but have half the bloody backbone.
But we don't know what that thing even is. And what about the crypt?
I'm telling you.
I can't believe everything is voiced in this. Was that true in Divinity?
Murray and Barton have been trying to break in for days.
Either way, they didn't have all this, like,
Stop!
cinematic cutscenes.
Competition already. That's our ship.
Okay, so we have a bunch of persuasion options.
Nice.
I can tell them that I was just looking around.
My mini comrades were coming.
Full of monsters. My many comrades were coming. Or I can try to intimidate them. I'm gonna tell them there's plenty of monsters, and then that's gonna be a roll.
An 8. Oh.
It's going to be a failed roll, which is fine. I mean, it's
You're all hot
okay.
air. Think you can get us to leave that bounty to you? Not a chance. What are you lot waiting for? Get her!
okay. So,
Initiative.
luckily for me, I planned for this. And so, if you do a shove out of a sneak position, that is a 100% chance. And so,
That was pretty great. That shove is hysterically, like, over dramatic.
okay, so
Knocks him way the hell back.
my action for this one. So let's try to do this really well. I'm going to use grease. So grease is going to create difficult terrain for these guys. And difficult terrain is basically going to halve their movement speed as they're trying to go over it. So that's
Now light it on fire.
We made grease flammable, so if I can put
Yeah.
fire on it, it's going to hurt them double. Unfortunately, I have no source of fire anymore because I used up my my fire bolt. So,
Firebolt's a cantrip. I guess you can't do.
however, it's going to use
Took your turn.
bolt. 5% chance. I think this guy is the strongest, so I'm going to do it on that one.
Damn.
Where am I? So let's see.
Interesting, it doesn't even show the dice roll. I wonder if that's like in the battle log either, the way like Pillars does, where you can kind of hover over it and it'll show, but this one doesn't seem to have any of the numbers
Attack the other guy.
except for damage,
Increase their AC.
which that could
Okay.
change.
So there two are turn. Not down. This, that's good.
Oh, they've got like a wizard. Oh,
That's a witch bolt, so she can every turn, as long as she's concentrated,
oh man, that's some Sith witch bolt.
do something about that. Otherwise, this guy's trying to go up to get his advantage back. He changed his mind. I wonder if he's having a problem here. Nice. He might be in an eternal loop.
An eternal loop?
Alright, I'm gonna have to use a cheat here. No, oh, wow, okay.
Couldn't decide where to go.
Difficult. Yeah, no, it did work. I actually destroyed his ladders secretly with a secret button, which will remain.
Oh, that's a good way of doing the making him stop, going to debug mode and delete the ladder.
What did he get? Throw item. It's not that bad.
Just throwing boxes at him.
Also, and that hurts them too.
That's the shit I love though. That's out of that box thinking that can replicate D&D play so well, to the extent that you can do that without having an actual, you know, DM and pen and paper or.
Because otherwise Shadowheart is going to be in trouble. Doesn't have to be a pin down. 75% chance. Oh, that's. Okay, good.
Ah, it's concentration.
So, that means that she is now home free. She can. Why doesn't she have her spells on normal?
Never spells.
40% is not good. I'm going to disengage using my jump. I can do this once in a combat.
Jump seems a little too far. Doesn't that mean everybody has a disengage?
Okay. And I'll just
It's not even an action.
Oh man. Where is a start? No, starting is there. But
And how many times did he practice playing through this in different ways of trying to show something off?
Gale went away.
But this is what I really like to see from developers. Instead of having a glitzy cinematic, although obviously I did love seeing that.
Interesting.
You know, just show me the game. Ooh. Got a crit. You know, warts and all, really, and that's a nerve-wracking thing to do, because obviously they've been working on this for, you know, probably 2 years, if not more. God, critical hit, he got critted. And there's going to be a lot of problems because games like this are extremely complicated to make. And that's got to be really nerve-wracking. I have a lot of empathy for developers showing games in development. I mean, think about all the games that come out and have like massive problems, let alone ones that are still in development. So do we not have initiative order, it looks like? I hope that changes, because it looks like you can just kind of swap between... It looks like it's just their team and then your team, which is definitely not how D&D operates. Everybody has their own initiative numbers. And Divinity would have like a timeline of who can go win, which was a big deal.
That cancels the entire effect. But maybe if I yell at them... I can't yell, I don't have a yell yet. We will have that, but...
You're gonna distract him. God, he's gonna sit there. Oh, it says he killed him.
Ow. Pity that they can't. Well...
You guys are gonna lose this fight. I don't know, man. This game seems pretty difficult.
We're not gonna die here.
We're all gonna die here. I mean, if you're literally dying in the first 2 fights, again, I appreciate a challenging game where the combat is meaningful, but yikes. These might be tuned a little too rough. The developer is struggling against these. And he actually set this one up, like, well, too.
Say it again. Oh, yes. Thank you.
That's why you guys are here.
Shadowheart has it. But we have magic pockets. We have magic pockets.
That's from Divinity 2. You can just swap items around. Which is good, because I think that's just more fun.
To run away, right? Oh, I have an excellent idea. This is going to work really well. So let me first try killing him, actually.
Shoot him again. That's what I would do.
Did I throw something already?
Oh, interesting. You can knock somebody unconscious. It's an option.
That is my second action, though. I want to run away. Well, actually, I can shoot him again.
There you go.
Good work.
Beast potion for the win. There's still one enemy left, though. The one that's just murdering everybody.
Actually, because I can go back. He's not going to make it. But she will still make it. If I can get close to her and give her a helping hand, she's going to be up again.
So what happens if they die? Can you raise them, or are they just gone from the game? Because that's a reload in like everybody's game who's playing.
I can get back here, actually. Alright. We're going to make it. Far shot with 75% chance. So...
Of course, it's that boss halfling. Ugh! God, he's missing on all these like good shots too. That's terrible.
Do it again.
I wonder if that factors in like armor class and everything. I mean, I appreciate that just looks like a percentage after everything's factored in.
Yeah, before. I mean, actually, those things help. Just trying to party.
God, I hate how the enemies just instantly try to kill your down people. That's not how I would play things if I was the DM. After the person is shooting you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so frustrating.
We'll get there. It might be hard work though. Oh, actually, but what I can still do. No, I get to shoot again, right? I keep on forgetting this.
I still got haste.
Alright, okay. Yeah, well.
Just throw boots at him. He's missing a downed body.
Yeah, it happens that you miss a lot.
Damn.
Why did he get 2 shots anyway? Did he take potion himself? It's possible. So the AI thinks, looks at everything that it... Ah. Yeah. Thank you.
God, so your cleric's dead? This is
So
brutal.
out of combat, their death saving throw... Oh, she's really dead? She's dead. Yeah, he's alive. That's good, I guess.
They do pop up if they're down, but yeah, she got killed.
Right. We'll worry about her later. We'll leave her there. She deserves it. Well, let's first see what they had to pick
She's
up.
still on the UI, but I don't know. Like, because I know in Baldur's Gate 2, that was the biggest pain in the ass. You had to manually drag... You could have their corpse, and you could drag them to the nearest temple and res them for a cost. And it was a pain in the butt, because you'd have to backtrack back to a temple to do it. I'm not sure I honestly would have gotten through that game. If not, fairly early on, you get a Rod of Resurrection that has like 10 charges in it or something. And I used like at least half that thing. Because otherwise you would have to, I would reload that fight. Not because I wouldn't accept the consequence, but because it's a pain in the ass to just backtrack to a temple. You know, I was like, give me the penalty, give me the, you know, lingering injuries or whatever. I believe that's how Pillars works. Or gives you some like permanent debuff while they're down before, you know, you rest up and get proper healing. But just having people die and then having to just lug back to the nearest place, that's a pain in the butt. Or it's a reload.
Something that can be quite intense, as you'll see soon enough. Okay, so we're gonna go inside here.
But yeah, I never have somebody get killed.
Everything all right out there?
In Divinity, people died left and right, but you had scrolls of resurrection that were fairly common.
Don't worry, we're safe. If it fails,
But they were decently expensive, so it was basically just a money drain.
You sound a bit shaken, Moss. Hang on while I find the key.
You're dead!
Nope, you're dead. And the reason why is because I surprised them, and then when you surprise somebody, you get the initiative. And so this guy has absolutely no chance. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to shoot him down. There you go. And then I'm going to shoot him again the next turn.
Do you not have your...
There you go. And then I
guess he was still split from the other guy. You want to fight this dungeon alone? Seems like a bad idea. Boy, how long does the stream go?
There you go. And that's how easy it can be.
Holy crap.
Right.
Show a bunch of this game.
We end up. So we're out in the small dungeon. We're going to do Asarian the Great Tomb Raider. So he's going to do all of this.
Is it all just gameplay? This is actual dungeon crawl?
Just as a demonstration of how systemic use of all.
She's gonna do without one of his party members?
Did I pick up my boots again? Dust. No, I'm bootless. Alright.
Wow. Wow, there's a lot on here. Alright, we're gonna skip a little bit here in the interest of time because I do have to get some work done today. Looks like we're showing off more of the dungeon, even though he's just soloing it. Wow, look at the darkness effect. Looks real cool. And obviously that kind of stuff's going to change the UI, I think. Because we're not even in early access yet. They said that's going to be in a couple months. Have they announced multiplayer yet? All their games have had multiplayer, all the Divinity games.
Big thing in the middle. So, and inside you find a cool weapon. You have lightning fast reflexes. In what is the game, which has many spells, many actions that you can do. So it's kind of handy.
Love it, love it, love it.
All right.
Move those crates around.
If you want to talk to very fast creatures. No. Sorry.
Love to see what they can do with some puzzles too, because Divinity had some cool ones. Puzzles and traps. There you go.
Jump now.
Well, he stays in this room for a while too.
So that's going to take that grease away, and let's just see what I'm going to get out of turn-based. Can I dash again?
Skipping ahead.
Marksman. Can take their weapons away. So that's going to take that grease away, and let's just see what I'm going to get out of turn-based. Okay, can I dash again? Skipping, skipping ahead. Marksman.
Marksman.
Can take their weapons away.
physically exists,
No,
which is awesome.
unfortunately, because disarming somebody is actually a valid action. The AI developers are making it so that they will pick up the weapons that they, if they see something on the floor and they're unarmed, the AI will actually come to the same the conclusion.
Oh.
But luckily, it's not implemented yet.
So you can just de-equip all these guys?
Okay. I'm gonna give this guy a sword just so that we can see the difference between the guys. Did I have all of them? I just want to make sure that the guys with the bow. So.
Oh, Biggs of the dungeon.
Gale has a shortcut. There was actually a.
We went back to this guy. By the way, you've got this other party member just chilling.
I didn't want to do it because when you do it, it alerts the guards on the inside.
They don't auto heal at the end of combat, though. Looks like you do have some attrition, which would be more D&D-like. Obviously, with spell slots. Wonder what the resting restrictions are. Oh!
So, like this, I can jump in it.
Destructible environment.
Into this room here, and then like this.
That's pretty awesome.
This room. So that was a shortcut. But then they basically all the bandits that are in this dungeon get inside here.
A lot of effort to hide one sarcophagus.
Indeed, I wonder what will happen. Just in case.
Just in two completely different areas.
Okay, so the reason why we came here.
I swear that amulet is literally the same icon as in Divinity 2.
People, but not on skeletons, of course.
Just reuse some of their assets, which more power to them.
Which gives me the Speak with Dead spell. So speaking with dead.
Oh, speak with the dead.
That you can do.
Uh-oh, candles went out.
Provided they have a mouse.
Skeleton time.
Something just woke up.
Unfortunately, I don't have my. I just realized that this is the reason I keep my speed potion in general. Let's see.
You don't have your cleric. She's fucking dead. How common are scrolls of resurrection in this one?
Why are you standing here anyway?
Oh, it's not a skeleton. It's an entombed protector.
Wait for him to move. The dark vision does work, yeah, so. But it's fine. It's good. I mean, like, look, we're almost at the exit. Yeah, and they have no arrows. They have no bows. They have no weapons. Look, they all have their hands. Like,
Disarm them.
So, this is exactly how it should be.
Run away.
The AI is trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do. I'm going to dash. Where's my dash? All right.
Run away from this fight. Sure is.
I wanted to show you one last thing, so a little bit of audience participation. So let me try to do that as fast as I can. Whoa.
Hey, it's constantly taking you in and out of combat. Oh man, Bug City. That's a bummer. It just kills him.
He gave up. He was like, I'm done.
No, I don't think I'm going to get out of it. Well, that's a real pity. If I manage,
Poor Sven. He's just like, God damn it. This is our moment of triumph.
Let me do this one thing. No, just do. No. Who's having? Oh, it's the hand. No, it's not the hand. No, 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 no. Well, okay. Well, since I only have 5 minutes,
That's a hell of a bug.
That will be the end of my presentation for today.
Oh man. Oh. Oh, my heart breaks for that. It's such a good game, and it's had quite a few problems. In development.
We have time for a few questions, Jesse. If you
Do we?
yeah.
I mean, there's already a guy lining up. Go for it, yeah.
All right, I've never played Baldur's Gate before, and based on what I've seen so far, I really, really, really want to now. However, my luck is abysmal. What advice do you have for someone with awful luck other than
You were asking him?
Yeah.
Almost had multiple party wipes.
On easy.
Yeah, so there's ways that you can modify your dice. You seek out advantage, which allows you to roll twice. So that's something that's important. We will have an easier mode. We still have to balance stuff also. So the values that you're seeing right now were pretty much straight out of the book. So sometimes it's...
So, my thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3 is that it looks freaking awesome. It is exactly what I wanted, which is looks and plays very similar to Divinity Original Sin 2, which is, I think, still like the closest thing we have to D&D in terms of the combat and also letting you do things outside the combat and the way the world's laid out and everything. But obviously use D&D, use a lot of those systems, and it looks really freaking great. Yeah, I'm super excited for it. I'm so glad it's the #1 most anticipated game. For me personally, I feel justified from that, watching it, even with all the bugs and stuff. That's just exactly what I wanted. The illithid thing at the beginning, the fact that you have a tadpole in your brain is a really cool, like, inciting incident. All the characters look neat. I was really particularly impressed with the way dialogue played out, the way the camera actually zoomed in, like, Dragon Age style, and had people talk to each other, and had, really good voice acting, and all that production was way better than Divinity. Divinity was always, you were just top down looking down. It did have voice acting. I think it actually was voice acted throughout, but it definitely did not have the zoom in and the capture and the actors moving around and all that. So that was really cool to see. So yeah, I'm very, very positive on Baldur's Gate 3. I'm excited about it. I don't know if I'll jump into early access because I really want to experience the full thing, and I'm hoping it comes out this year, but I could definitely see a situation where it gets pushed back to, like, about a year from now or so. But
in the cinematic, you mean? Yeah. Yeah, there was a small moment of a note that it froze there. Okay. You didn't get anything.
I'm gonna try to skip and see if they have some kind of closing thoughts.
Toned it down because they didn't want it to make it that black and white anymore. However, you are going to, depending on your actions, you have good characters. Gale is a good.
Make a bunch of evil choices.
I had a quick question regarding early access. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Like, rough estimate for a release date, how much of the campaign's going to be ready, anything like that?
Wait, there's somebody waving with a time. Does that mean I have to shut up? Yeah. So to answer your question, so we're going to roll it into early access when bugs like what you saw are all gone. We're very curious to get the community feedback, so that's the thing that's very important for us. We'll make sure there's enough content in there to keep you busy. We'll make sure that you don't have all the content, so that when the release comes, you'll get plenty of content to play through, pretty much like we did with our previous games. But I can't give you the exact figures on that just yet. All right, I guess that's going to be the last question. All right,
yep.
Thank you.
All right, not going to reveal any much more beyond that. Cool. All right. So yeah, that was my thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3, the reveal. Very, very positive on it. Very excited about it. Looking forward to the hell out of Baldur's Gate 3. Always impressed with Larian Studios. Fun presentation, even with the bugs, but that's exactly what I wanted. Super thumbs up. Thank you if you've made it this far for listening to my thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3. And that'll be it for me.